You got me fired up on We Live, man.
Happy Tuesday, Wholesale to Million family. Hope you guys are having a great day. I'm not sure when I'm going to upload this, but I haven't done this in a while. We're back with another subscriber first wholesale deal interview. So I'm gonna bring our guest on today. His name is James. Closed his first wholesale deal back in December of 2018 for 6 G's. He's located out of Central Florida. And those of you guys, if you find these kind of interview really helps you out, then show me some love. Smash the thumbs up, comment below, and let me know. If it doesn't, give me that thumbs down. I don't care, man. So I really want to know that those of you who got some value out of this, I hope you do, and that's why we do this, is to inspire and to motivate those of you who are struggling, trying to get your first wholesale deal, letting you know that it's possible, and it's possible for everybody to do it. You just obviously got to willing to put in the work. But I'm going to have James share with you guys his stories, how he, where he got, obviously his stories, and then how he got his first wholesale deal done. So you guys put your hands, put your thumbs together, and help me welcome James. What up, buddy?
What up, brother? How you doing, man?
Hey, I'm doing awesome, man. I see that you have the We Buy Houses sign right behind you, bro.
Oh, yeah. That's some marketing I'll be doing as soon as we get done.
Love it, man. So, James, let's not waste time, man. Jump right into it. Tell everybody kind of your stories. I really want to know the dirt. Like, where is your story? Where was your life? And then how did you got into real estate? And how did you, obviously, and then merge into the first wholesale deal?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, man, I'd let you know, seeing you at We Live, your energy and your passion, bro, like completely blew my mind. So I just want to thank you for the value you added there. It was amazing, brother. So, well, originally, for the last 19 years, I was actually working for a big box store. The last 5 years, I was making a 6-figure income, which is crazy because I grew up very, my parents didn't have any money and all that good stuff, but. So last year, I was kind of at rock bottom, went through a divorce. Mom had 2 types of stage 4 cancer, and I felt myself kind of drop down. But then I went to a Tony Robbins, Gary Vee thing out in Orlando at the Amway. So it's kind of cool. I got to see Gary Vee again at the We Live. But it was funny because as everybody's talking, I was getting ready to get up and go to the bathroom. I was there with my girlfriend, Carla, and when I went to get up, some guy said, "Oh, we're gonna be talking about real estate." So I literally was like, "Oh, I don't have the money to do this. I'm going." So I went to get up. I felt like he was talking to me because he's like, "Sit back down if you're leaving because you don't have money. I want, this is a way you can make money in real estate through wholesaling." And I obviously didn't know anything about it. So I did what he told me, and I sat back down, and thank God I did, man, because it really opened my eyes. But I had zero experience whatsoever in real estate whatsoever in my life, so it was all brand new to me then.
Awesome, man. So James, so when did you initially got exposed and started?
November. So I started in November. I went to one of those weekend courses where they tried selling me into a $35,000 package, and I could give them 35,000 reasons I wasn't going to do it. But from that point, it really caused me to start diving into all the YouTube University and podcasts. I was listening a ton to you, to Max, to Wholesaling Inc., and just submerging myself with that, and really just kind of putting the pieces together from that point. But I actually read that book, If You Can't Wholesale After This. You know that book? I Got Nothing For You. So it's a book, but it's I read it, and they said something about putting free ads on Craigslist. And so I was like, you know what, let me do this. So I put a free ad on Craigslist, and like 3 weeks later, I get a call from a lady up in a place called St. Augustine. She's like, I could tell she was really super highly motivated, and I was freaking out because I never dealt with this. So it was brand new to me, and I'm trying to answer these questions for her, and I'm like just going off the top of my head, trying to listen to her more than I'm really talking. So that was the first deal I got, was up in St. Augustine.
Awesome, man. Hey, James, before we dive into your first wholesale deal stories, I want to say, bro, congrats, bro. I mean, thanks, that's a lot of stuff that you've gone through, bro.
Yeah. The thing is, like life hits you sometimes, but you just got to keep looking up and get up. And man, I submerged myself with all the podcasts and believing in God, and then just really reading a lot of books, which is something I never did before. It really pulled me out of that, and now it's like, the sky's the limit, man.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So, before we jump in, dude, I definitely want to give Maxwell a shout out. Those of you who don't know who he is, man, you must be living under the rock, bro. Because this guy because this guy is a freaking maniac when it comes to giving and when it comes to wholesaling. And the event that he put on, bro, absolutely hands down, like amazing. And you know, I definitely just want to give him a shout out, not because I'm there, but because the event was absolutely breathtaking, man. All the people there was definitely go giver. You know, they're willing to give you guys all their business blueprint, everything, and that was awesome, dude. And it's awesome seeing you, bro.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That event was, you're right. It was, I didn't even know what to expect. And then I went and it blew my mind just seeing everybody just giving and giving and giving. It was just like people from every walk of life, you know, it's just, everybody came together and it was, you know, it was just really inspiring to go to that and really hear everybody and just see that unity versus that corporate America mindset where it's, you know, people pulling each other down. It was just all supportive and uplifting each other. So it was phenomenal, man. I agree.
Yeah, man. You know, the thing is, me and all the speakers, I get to meet some new friend to go hang out with. You know what I mean? So that's definitely a bonus. So James, let's jump into your first wholesale deal, bro. So tell us kind of where the leads come from and moving us all the way through closing, bro.
Yeah. So the first lead I got was or the first appointment I went out to was from the lady up in St. Augustine. She called me off that free Craigslist post. Like I said, I was nervous, but I answered it and kind of, you know, the biggest thing I got from all the podcasts and everything was just listen to their story. My grandfather used to say you got 2 ears and one mouth, so, you know, you listen twice as much as you talk. So, you know, I found her motivation. She just moved from Atlanta to Florida like 6 months prior, and she bought a house up there for $175,000 cash, and she moved down with her autistic daughter. So she was sitting there telling me on the phone how she needed to get back up to Atlanta because it was too much for her taking care of her, you know, daughter who was autistic in her 20s. She left her son behind and she moved down here. And the thing was, like, she wasn't making the money she thought she was going to make. So when I started talking with her about that and kind of connecting with her on that level, I ended up telling her, saying, hey, you know, if you want, I can come up to St. Augustine. I'd love to take a look at the, you know, the house and kind of get to see what it's about. So after hearing that she was willing to kind of drop the price a little bit, she knew she wasn't going to get that, and found out she didn't want to list with a real estate agent or rent it out. I set an appointment to go up there the next day, and drove up there the next day and just, you know, ended up going and visiting her at her property. And it was really good. It was, you know, it was quick about the house because obviously I looked, you know, some of that stuff up online. And I really didn't even know what the conversation should look like because I was like so nervous. But I just made it more about her and her situation. We sat down on her front porch for probably an hour just talking about life and talking about, you know, the area and why she wants to go back. So it was really about listening to those key motivation points. And then I knew going up there kind of what my offer would be, but I was scared to even throw out the number. So it was like paranoia. And so I threw out a number to her and she's like, yeah, that's, you know, I said, you know, I was looking for 125. And she ended up saying, no, that was too low, but we talked a little while longer. And then she said, if you could do like 130, 135, it'd be more where she needed to be, because somebody else offered her 125 already and she already told them no. So ended up putting it under contract. Not that day, I came back the next day, and we put under contract for 133. So I kind of met her in the middle on it. So that was pretty much where that went.
Awesome. So James, I want to ask, when you were on the phone with her on the first phone call, you mentioned that she was kind of moving on the numbers. So so what did she say the price was, and then how much did she came down to?
Well, on the phone at first, she told me how much she paid cash for the house, you know, and I kind of looked it up and I saw it was 174 what she got it for, and she's like, oh, the houses, you know, all the houses around here for selling for over 200,000. You know, I really think I can get that, and I told her, I said, you know, what I do may not be the right fit for you. However, you know, what would be the best you could do without having, you know, without paying closing fees, without paying title and all that. And she's like, well, I'd probably go down to 150 if you could do cash. So I kind of heard her drop it, you know, right from there. And from that point, I said, well, you know, let's see if, I don't know if that number is really going to work for what I do, but I'd love to come up there anyways. So it was kind of back and forth for a little bit. And then, like I said, that's where I figured, you know what, I already saw her drop the price by like 25,000 that quick, which blew my mind because I was like, going into wholesaling, I was like, nobody's gonna sell their houses that cheap. I was like, there's no way somebody's gonna do that. And then just to see her drop 25 grand like that, I was like, oh my God, these podcasts and everything else are like, everything is real. So next thing you know, I set the appointment and went up there, and I just, when, you know, I threw out the number and just shut up and let her talk, and just, it was awkward and quiet, but that's when she responded, and we ended up getting the price going down. So
Awesome, awesome. So James, I want to point. So this lead coming from Craigslist.
Craigslist, yeah.
Okay, so this lead is coming from Craigslist. So she calls you off of one of your ads.
Yeah, just posted a free ad in the morning and at nighttime, and it says, you know, just this, you know, we buy houses any condition, and I just put a little bit of verbiage in there that I saw in other people's ads, and honestly, I'm blown away that I got my first deal off that. But man, it was like, you know, it was meant to be, you know.
Yep, gotcha. Great. And the things you guys, I'm asking James what price she start, what price she came off. That also shows that is like a whatever that is, 20-something thousand dollars drop. You know, obviously that's motivations. That's why James set the appointment to go out there right away. Some of you guys don't even ask for the price. All you do is you just set an appointment and go and meeting the seller. Like, you know what I mean? So that's why I'm saying that at least on the phone, get a number of at least a ballpark of where they want it to be, and see if it even makes sense for you to go out and meet with the seller. So that's why I asked James and see how much she dropped. And because if she dropped over 20 something, obviously that's motivation there. Now, so you went there and chat with her, came back the next day, put it under contract. Now, how long do you tie it up for?
So I did, and I didn't know. I put under a 14-day to inspect, and then I put it under closing 30 days out from the date she signed or sooner. So, and title agency and all that stuff, I had no clue what I was going to do. I put TBD in there. I had to be determined. I had no idea what I was going to do there. But yeah, I put it under. It's 14 days to inspect, and then 30 days to close or sooner.
Gotcha. Okay, so 14 days for inspection and 30 days to close or sooner. And did you have to put any earnest money?
I put $500 down just because that's what I was reading on some different things online. But yeah, so I put $500 down, and then when I put it under contract, it was, man, I can't even tell you. Like, she was very high anxiety. Like I got my anxiety level went up with her sometimes. I was trying to stay calm, but at the same time, when we put it under contract, like within an hour, I got a call from some number in Georgia, and then I get a text message from her, and she goes, "Hey James, I just put a bid on a house up in Georgia, and my real estate agent's trying to call you." And I'm like, oh, my heart started pounding. I'm freaking out. So I answered the call from her agent, and he's like, "Hey, by the way, I'm her agent up here in Atlanta. She put a bid that's contingent on this house closing, and I just wanted to make sure everything's good." And I was like, I didn't even know what to say. I talked to the guy and said, "Yeah, everything's fine. We got a 14-day to inspect." But as soon as I held the phone, man, I was like in panic mode, because I was like, I got to get this thing bought, because I have no idea. I don't want to hold up her other property on this. So it put a level of pressure on me that really freaked me out a little bit. But it was just that uneasy feeling. But I just tried to take a breath and stay calm in order to not get into that anxiety level that I was feeling.
Awesome, man. Awesome. And the thing is, you guys, James put 500 earnest money, but as you guys know, it doesn't have to be 500. There's people that put $1 down, $10 down, $5 down.
Yeah.
And now let me ask you, James, did the earnest money ever came up when you talked to the seller?
So when I talked to the seller, the earnest money did come up,
Okay.
and I ended up telling them about the earnest money. They said, "Oh, we would have put the earnest money down. You didn't really have to do that." But I didn't know, because at that point it wasn't even. I mean, I probably messed this up every way I could, but it still ended up closing. But the seller ended up putting money down on it as well. And then we went through, because I didn't have a title agency. So I just told the seller, I was like, "Hey, by the way, would you want to use my title agency, or do you have one that you guys prefer?" And they said, "No, there's one we prefer." So I ended up building a relationship with that title agency at the same time, and put it with their title agency.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow. Okay.
it could have
Wow.
gone sideways so many times.
Wow. Gotcha. So James, now, did you bring up the earnest money, or did the seller bring up the earnest money?
No, I brought up I told them that I already had the earnest money down.
Right. But I'm saying when you talking to the seller, you're the
Oh,
one who brought up about the earnest money, or she did?
no, I did actually, and I didn't. I brought it up. I didn't know if I should or not at that point. So I told her, I said I could put some money down on it in order to lock everything in, and she just agreed on it when we did the contract. So
Gotcha. So, and the thing is, James, that you guys, that's why I bring up these kind of questions, because majority of the time, if you guys are dealing with motivated sellers, they never really ask about earnest money, because they really, all they care about, okay, is that what are they going to get for the property, right?
right,
In a time frame that it's going to close, right? Eh,
yeah,
So they never will bring up the earnest money unless you're the one who bring up the earnest money, or maybe your conversation with the sellers somehow trigger it, and that's where they bring it up. Unless you're dealing with the seller that actually been in real estate, they've been doing it, or they've been working with agents, and agents been saying about the earnest money. But most seller that we deal with never even brought up the whole earnest money. So
yeah.
that's why I asked you that, James. I just don't want people to get confused.
Yeah, I found that because since then I did some other deals, and I didn't even bring up the earnest money after that. I was like, but like I said, it's still trial and error and making. I know I'm kind of failing forward, but I'm just taking action in order to see what's going to happen. So it's like, but yeah, I had no idea about the earnest money or even if I should bring it out or not. It happened when we were doing the contract. So yeah.
Cool, man. Cool. No problem at all. So basically, so you tied up 14 days. Okay, now let's talk about now the ARV. What's the ARV on it?
The ARV on it was 205.
Okay, and what's the rehab on it?
The rehab was like $20,000.
Okay, and okay, so $20,000. You got under contract for 133. Now how many bedroom, bathroom, and square foot?
It was 4.2, and I want to say it was like 1,600, a little over 1,600 square feet.
Okay, so four bedroom, two bath,
Yep,
1,600 square feet.
yep.
Okay, so James, when you mentioned you know nothing about real estate, how did you come up with rehab cost to make her the offer?
Everything I did was based off of the formulas. I was like, I took this course also, which is a short course. It was through Response Team, and they use that 70% formula. So I was doing the ARV minus 70 or times 0.70 or 0.75 minus the rehab, and then take away the assignment too.
Right.
So, but that was everything I heard off the videos and that short course I took as well.
I see. Gotcha. But my question for you is, how did you know? Because you mentioned you go into real estate. Did you have experience with constructions, or like how do you know that the rehab was 20,000?
Uh, Really, it was just a guesstimate. Where I worked was a home improvement warehouse, so that's why I managed in big box. So I had kind of an idea, but honestly, it wasn't exact. It was, I've heard different people say different things about, based on the square footage, you do $10 on a light, 10 to 15 on a light rehab, and they go higher on a full rehab. And this wasn't like a full rehab, so I just kind of did quick math and went off the light rehab on it.
Gotcha. Okay, so this was so you just roughly estimated, not knowing it's 20 or not 20, but you look at the property, you estimate that's how much it's roughly gonna cost on a light rehab. When you mean
Correct.
light rehab, it means like gonna fix it up and keep it as like kind of a rental grade, or like granite
I
cover.
didn't even. I don't know all the differences on that. I just basically. I mean, literally, I just did it based on the fact that it had a newer AC, newer roof. The flooring was pretty good. The kitchen might have needed some updating in the bathrooms, but other than that, so it was pretty minimal. Like almost everything in the house, she had redone. She had the fence redone in the backyard. So really, it was just kind of a guesstimate on where the rehab cost was going to go. And I knew I was going to be wholesaling it. I didn't really know how much to put in there. I just figured 20 was probably on the higher side. And then when when I was shopping it out to the different buyers, that's where I kind of said I'm estimating it's at this point, and then having conversations with that. I had one of the person who got it come and do their due diligence, and they came out there and checked it out themselves to see if it would work.
Awesome, James. Great. Okay, so for those of you who like, well, Khang, I have no experience in constructions. I don't know how to estimate the rehab. Like, so I'm afraid to make the offer because I'm afraid my price, like I'm afraid this and afraid that. And it holds you back from pulling the trigger. And that's why I ask these kind of questions. So you guys understand that when we make these offer, like we don't know 100%. So James was just looking at it, giving it an estimate, and figure, okay, roughly 20,000. Lock it up on the contract. How does he know it's 20,000? Because he listened to some other broadcasts or read the books and just give it a quick estimate. My tips for those of you who don't know is to call some local contractor in the areas and start doing some homework. Hey, call electrician. Hey, I have a 4 bedrooms, 2 bath. How much does it cost to rewire the entire house? They're going to give you a rough estimate and just take notes. Plumbing, roof. Hey, if I was to redo the kitchen, the bathrooms, they're going to ask you, hey, paint. They're going to ask you the square footage. Give them the square footage, and they'll give you a rough estimate of how much it's going to cost. You're going to take notes, and the next time that you're on the phone with the seller or you go out to meet with the seller, at least now if they say, hey, the kitchen's going to be updated, it needs extra into paint, you at least have a rough estimate, like an ideas of how much it's going to cost. Some of you will be like, well, Khang, like, oh, what if there's issue behind the wall? What if there's issue underneath the subfloor? Well, that is where your buyers comes in and give you the answer. Your job is just to get a rough estimate, because the stuff behind the wall, stuff that you can't physically go and see, that's when the inspection period comes in, and that's where your buyers comes out there to let you know that, hey, you mentioned this, but we found out this needs to be done, that needs to be done. And then that's when you go back and you renegotiate with the seller, because they probably obviously don't know that as well. All right, you guys. So, okay, so 133 lock up, and then so how much are you sending out to the buyer for, James?
Well, I put it out there for 143, and to be honest with you, I didn't get any bites whatsoever. So then that completely put me in a panic mode, because she's texting me saying, hey, what's going on? The real estate agents texted me and called me, and so my anxiety level started going up. But I put it out at 143, thinking that maybe I can get 10K, and if not, I'll of course at this point tweak down. I mean, as long as I get the deal closed in order to get the first one done, I was looking more for speed to get in and out in order to make sure she can go home for her family, because this was right before Christmas, and my thing with her was, when we're talking on the porch, it was all about, I want to get you home for the holidays with your family. So having that for me, it was like not even about the money at that point. It was more about delivering on what she wanted in her life and what she needed in her life, and being of value on that level. So like I said, that's where I was at that point.
Gotcha, man. Nope. Makes total sense, James. So, so you sent it out for 143, and what are some sources that you sent the deal out to?
So at first I built a buyer's list. Was maybe only like 20, 25 people on there. And when I blasted it out to them, I had fingers crossed going, all right, somebody please pick up on this. And within 2 days, nobody did. So I started kind of panicking, but I sat back, and so then I ended up going on the Meetup app, and I blasted it out on the Meetup app. I put it on some Facebook apps with wholesalers and real estate investors in Florida. And I also put it on Craigslist. I saw some people who were buyers in there. So I immediately blasted out to a whole bunch of people. And then I finally got a couple of call backs. And the first person who called back and wanted to go out there in order to look at the property, I ended up going out. I met them there in order to go out, because I told them I wanted to see how they evaluate the repairs on it. And I was off by they said they were looking about 25 to 27,000. So my number was wrong. But at that point, I knew I had some wiggle room in my assignment fee. So I gave myself that little bit of a buffer, and then we ended up agreeing on putting it under contract for 139.
Awesome, man. So now
signing for 139.
Awesome. So James, so the property's vacant, right? Property's vacant?
No, she was living there with her daughter at the time.
Oh, I see. Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
So, okay, so she was living there, and your buyer came from?
They were up in Jacksonville area, so they were only like 15 or about 25 minutes away. But that was the buyer I got off the Meetup app.
Oh, the Meetup group?
Yep.
Gotcha. Okay. The Meetup. Okay. Gotcha. So, so the buyer went out there. You went out there to facilitate the showing.
Right.
Right. And
Yep.
then they came back and offer you how much? The buyer?
They actually dropped. They said they could only do it for like 133. And at that point, I told them, I said, I'll be out, because they know about wholesaling, obviously. And I told them, I said, it's under contract at a low amount. I couldn't do it for that amount. And they said, well, what's the lowest you could do it? And at that point I said, well, I know, I have it out there right now for a possibility for 138. And then the lady said, well, then we'll do 139. Let's go ahead and lock it in. So it was like kind of going back and forth. But I was like, well, I heard them say they can only do it for like 133. I was like, oh man, like I really messed this up. But you know what? At that point, it's a wash. I was going to see if I could get something out of it. And when I went back and said that amount, they ended up going to 139 and we locked it in. So
Awesome, man. So, James, how long did it took you to find this buyer?
So within the point where I put in the meetup apps and everything and the Facebook ads, they called me within a day.
Gotcha. Okay. So you found this buyer within like 2 days, 3?
From the point of contract, it was like 4 days.
4 days. Okay. So you found this buyer in 4 days, did the inspections, got to lock in with the buyer for 139. Did the buyer put any non-refundable?
They did not, and that was one thing I learned later on, because towards the end, right to the closing table, it was like I was on the phone with trying to calm down the seller who was at the closing table because things that were being said by the buyer, and it almost went sideways at the closing table because the buyer at the end ended up saying, oh, well, if she doesn't take everything out of the house, we're gonna charge her extra money, and we're gonna have to. I'm sitting there freaking out, like trying to hold this thing together. So I'm on the phone with the title agency saying, because they're like, James, this is gonna fall apart if you don't get involved. So I ended up talking to the seller and calmed her down and set her at ease, called the buyer and said, look, if I have to rent a truck to go up there and clean out anything that's a mess at the end, it's only an hour away. I'll rent a truck and go up there. But this lady is being held up and she's getting ready to go home with her family. She needs this to close down just as I do as well. So it was kind of like some last minute juggling to get it to close down. But when I gave that commitment to the buyer and said, hey, if there's stuff left over, I'll come up there and get that. Let's not hold this lady from going home with her family over, some stuff that may be left in the house. So I didn't know if that was something I should be doing, but I did it, and the deal ended up closing. So
awesome, man. No, dude, in my opinion, James, what you did, dude, to get it closing, perfect, man. Just say, hey, just get it, and then you can use your assignment fee, hire somebody to go up there and clean it just to get the deal done. You know what
exactly.
I mean? It's not at the time. It's not about is the buyer's right, is the seller right. I'm gonna stand my ground. It's about just getting it done. Just getting it done. So now next time that you tell the buyer up front, hey, you buying at is. They're taking it. Whatever she leave behind, you're gonna clean it, right? So I would have done, dude. I would have done the same thing, bro. Just to get the deal done. It's not about who's right at that time. It's about let's just get the deal done. If you have to cough up, $500 or $1,000 to hire someone to do it just to make the buyers happy, just to get the deal done, man. Cool. Awesome, bro. So that's it, dude. So James, congrats, bro.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Nice. So James, let's wrap this up, dude. Any tips, advice from your experience, what you're currently doing now? Those that are starting out, trying to get their first wholesale deal done, man.
Consistency, man. That's the biggest thing I can say. Consistency and follow-up, consistency and marketing. I got my 4th deal closed down on Friday when we're at We Live. And, so God is good, man. So just really put yourself in that person's shoes and realizing even if you don't get a deal out of it, add value to their life. And if you put them first, I think that it's really going to come back to you, So I think really just follow-up is key. Listening is key. And then just consistency in marketing and doing what you're supposed to be doing every day. It doesn't have to be massive action every day. Even if you do a little bit every day, you're moving forward and you're eventually going to get it. And my son is 13, and I'm doing this because I want him to understand the value of doing something for yourself, because he's seen me do that corporate America mindset for so many years, and now he's starting to see what you can do. And I actually took that assignment fee and I ended up providing Christmas for 5 different single mothers. I bought them Christmas presents and gift cards to go get food and all that, because I wanted my son to see the value in giving back and how sowing and reaping is so critical. So,
bro, love it, bro. I love it, dude. Love it, man. So now, James, how do people connect with you, bro?
Yeah, well, James Canada is my IG. So if you want to get me on Instagram, James Canada, Canata. You can find me on Facebook, and I don't know, should I give out my phone number? I mean, I'm good with it if people want to text or anything.
Hey, James, it's really up to you, man. It's really up to you. You want to give phone numbers so people can connect with you and do deals, whatever you want, man.
Yeah, absolutely. My phone number is 386-232-8722. I don't know a ton about it, but I'm definitely making some things happen. And if you have questions, need motivation, anything, man, like I'm here. I mean, I think it's all about giving back to each other and building each other up. So, yeah, man, 386-232-8722. If you need anything, man, just give me a call or shoot me a text, and hopefully your first deal or your 10th deal happens, because it's possible with this, man. There's a lot of, the proof isn't getting the first deal done, and you just got to keep going until you get to that point. And then it's just, you learn as you go. You know, the first deal I was uncomfortable. Second deal, I knew a few things to tweak. By the third and fourth deal, I'm still nowhere near comfortable, but I'm picking up stuff every time in order to continue to get better and, you know, kind of sharpen what I do every time.
Awesome, man. James, dude, I love the story, bro. Congrats on all the success. I'm looking forward to see more of your success. And those of you, we're going to wrap this up. Those of you who haven't followed me on Instagram, hit me up on IG. Go to Khang, KHANG.WTM. And like I said, if you found any value out of this interview, please show us some love. Show James some love. Smash the thumbs up. And if you don't, then smash the thumbs down. Let me know. I'm a big boy. I can handle it.
Come on, man.
Yeah, those of you who recently closed your first wholesale deal, drop me a comment with your email or email me at wholesale2millions@gmail.com. Love to get you onto the show so you can share your stories, your first wholesale deal. And the reason why we're doing it to motivate, inspire. I want to let everybody know that this business is possible for every single one of you. I don't care where you're coming from, where you're at in your life. It's for every single person that are willing to put in the WORK. I'm so glad that I can spell that word, man. James, before we wrap it up, man, give me the King Kong phrase on a count of 3. Are you ready?
I'm ready, brother.
1, 2, 3. Come on.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go. You guys, thank you so much, James. Have a great rest of your day, bro. Take care.
All right, brother. Thank you, man.